After choosing empowerment over dread, I began searching for meaningful and effective solutions to put into practice in my own life. Progressive Hedonist is a podcast to share the ways we can take on climate change through food and joy. On days when this seems completely impossible, this podcast is a reminder that each of us can make an impact. I'm Dana Cowan. Join me in conversations with thought leaders like Alice Waters, Andrew Zimmern, Dr. Ayanna Elizabeth Johnson, and more. We can learn together what is possible. You can listen anywhere podcasts can be found and join the conversation on Instagram at progressive_hedonist.
Hey everyone, Greg Benson here, and if you're a regular listener of The Speakeasy, you probably know by now that I've been working to bring 100% pure, actually good-tasting agave nectar to the United States for a minute. But I wanted to give you a bit of an update. I actually got to travel to the farm where these amazing plants have been growing for decades, and it was just a genuinely moving experience. I got to see these agave in their natural habitat and see what it means to Rogelio, the farmer, to be able to care for the descendants of the same agave that his grandfather was growing almost a full century ago. That's why I'm proud to announce Quixote Imports, a new venture that's dedicated to preserving these agave and, yes, still bringing in the same fantastic, earthy, lightly fruity agave nectar that's going to make you wonder why you've been wasting your time with the crap at the grocery store. Plus, our fans here at the Speakeasy can get free shipping at checkout with promo code SPEAKEASY, so don't wait. Head on over to quixoteimports.com and see what agave nectar is actually supposed to taste like, and use promo code SPEAKEASY for free shipping. Salud.
You're listening to Heritage Radio Network.
So you don't charm the devil with your rock and roll load. Knows that country music's gonna save your soul. The devil runs his groove in them rhythm and blues that sand. It's gonna get you sun in the end.
Welcome back to The Speakeasy. I'm Damon Boelte.
And I'm Greg Benson. And we know the rule. There's no talking about politics or religion at the bar. Right. I violate both of those a lot on this show, but today we're going to stick to it. I do just want to say, though, take care of yourself. Do what you got to do. You know, these things come in waves at their own pace. So just be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and secure your own mask before helping others. That's going to be my little bit of wisdom I'm going to drop in there today.
You know what? It might be like counterintuitive to this show, but I'm just gonna stay off media for a little while. Just because. But
I was actually thinking the same thing, man. I'm like, I need to take a break from media, and I think I'm gonna actually take a little break from alcohol because I've been powering through the anxiety of the last few weeks with probably a few more cocktails at night than my doctor would be happy with me if I was honest with them about what I was doing. So I think I'm going to take some time to reset.
I'm going the opposite because I did sober October, and
you've earned it at this point.
Yeah, totally. And well, okay, so I live out here in West Marin County in the Bay Area of California, and so I've got a big barn. And I've been renovating it, and it's a party barn. I don't have tractors and implements in there. It's set up. I've got a 18-foot by 6-foot wide table. It's huge. It fits about at least 40 people around it. So my thing is I'm like entertaining. It's for entertaining. I have a grand piano in there. I built a bar. I've got my workshop in there. It's a very clean workshop for like building guitars and just my little projects and stuff like that. But it's super tight, super clean for entertaining. And like I'm focusing in on spending more time out there, And the thing is, like, I've been thinking of like what. I don't want to have a themed bar, but I want it to be like very open. Like I was like, but I want to have a focus of some sort. So it's like my barn bar, I was like, is it whiskey? Like, do we just do do I put in a tap system where it's like a highly compressed, like soda water, and we do like a whiskey soda thing? But I've been messing around a lot with, like you've been, you launched your agave syrup company, and I've been actually messing around with two things. One is making a proxy of like a Peychaud's bitters, which we can talk about some other time because it's going to take a while to work that out. But the other one is like working on a tonic, and because I love gin and tonic and I love martinis, and I'm like, you know what? And I don't like to pigeonhole any spirit or ingredient into any season, because like I think that, we've talked on the show before. In fact, I think we talked about it a little bit last week. Certain like winter spices or baking spices is what you kind of refer to them. They all come from tropical islands, and like citrus is more of a winter crop than it is a summer crop, but we associate citrus with summertime. When it really grows, it thrives in like the wintertime. So like, it's kind of like what transcends seasons. And I'm like, well, gin does, because like, when you think about the martini, it's really like the Martinez started it. And then you've got gin and Ed, and then you've got the martini. And then like I was saying, I've been messing around with tonic and like gin and tonic. And, my favorite gin, the most classic one, is, for me with tonic is Tanqueray. And so like, I was just like, let's make this screw it, man. We'll have gin and tonics during the summer, and we'll have martinis during the winter, or vice versa, whatever you want. I'm like turning it into a gin bar. And, I've worked a lot in gin in the past. And so, I'm really happy that we have our guests today are gin. We haven't actually had gin guests in a while, right? It's been a lot of tequila recently in mezcal. It has.
Well, I mean, and that's me tipping my own hand there. Yeah, that's exactly. Right. Of like the people that I really like talking about those spirits. But I mean, I'm with you, man. I love gin. Gin is good all year round. Gin is one of those things that can go anywhere. I mean, yeah, like if you look at like two super classic gin drinks, you've got the martini and the Negroni over on one end, and then you've got, like you said, the gin and tonic over on the other hand, which it's such a wide spectrum. And I think at this point we should stop hiding the ball and bring our guests in here, because they probably know more about gin than we do. So on the show with us today, we have Matthieu Perrin and Tom Nichol from the Gardener Gin. Guys, thank you so much for joining us.
Hello, guys. Nice to see you.
Pleasure to see you.
So give us your. What do you think about gin, gentlemen? Like we've been blabbing about it for a little while. Like I said, you guys are pretty intimately acquainted with this, considering you make one that's really good. Like, where do you feel its lane is best? Are you martini people, Negroni people, gin and tonic people, all the above people? What's your sweet spot when it comes to this spirit?
Well, you want to start, Tom? Maybe you're the good person for that.
I will say that I really don't drink a lot of gin. I tend to drink lots and lots of beer because it's not so strong, and I can stand up a lot longer. I really like martinis, but again, drink too many of them and it's not a good thing. And then you start mixing it with other things, especially if you're like me. A Negroni, I love a Negroni, although I must admit, I said that to somebody else recently, and they just, Negronis? And, it's like that. And I thought, really? I just think, most of the gins that I've made go particularly well with Negronis, I'll say that. And it might be in my psyche when I'm making them. But of course, you always end up, if I'm on an airplane, it's always a gin and tonic. Whether I want it or not, it's just one of these things. If I'm on a beach anywhere on holiday, it's got to be a gin and tonic. It's that real refreshing drink for me that, I can drink lots of it. Whereas The Negroni side, slightly less. Martinis, definitely less. But I enjoy anything but I've got to admit, I really don't drink a lot of gin at the moment. Unless I'm with people like you, then goodness knows what would happen.
Oh yeah, and I will say that you can drink a lot of Negronis and Martinis in one sitting. It's just that you probably shouldn't. That's the issue.
Oh yeah.
That's the, yeah. It's not that you can't,
no.
It's that you shouldn't. That's the issue. But that actually tracks a lot with what I've found using your Gardner gin, which is that very light, refreshing, citrusy, just like, it's very bright. If I were to do it in one word, it's very bright. Yeah. I'm not in my home studio right now. Damon's got, looks like the last of his bottle over there.
I had quite a bit of it this week. And I'm going to make
and it's only Wednesday.
Well, I'm going to make a light martini, like you were saying, Tom. So Tom, you came from the whiskey world, and then you were with Tanqueray for a very long time. That's how I know you. It's when we first met, and so I get like I like I said, kind of at the top of the show, that I've worked on several different. I've created a couple of different gin brands, and I always look to you as kind of like the mark, like, in the same way you said, like, with you drink more beer, it's like, I think of Weinstefaner, right? It's the oldest brewery in the world. It's been around. It's going to be 1,000 years old pretty soon. And, it's like, but to me, it's like, whenever I think about like Hefeweizen, it's like, well, how does it stack up to Weinstefaner Hefeweizen? Because that's like, it's the oldest one, and it's like, but then I think about like Tanqueray, and then I think about the Gardner gin, which I quite enjoyed. This is the last bit of the bottle. So I'm glad that we got samples out with a lot of lead time for this episode today.
Quite enjoy. You can put that on the bottle, gentlemen.
So to me, this gin is, I wouldn't compare it at all to Tanqueray, but I think that's one of the cool things about gin is that you can make it in so many different styles. It's not just one thing. It's like, I think gin and Scotch whiskey and rum are the most, like, kind of like when you're creating them and putting together, like, rum is very much of a place, but Scotch whiskey, even though from a kind of a smaller place, there's so many different styles. But then gin, again, you can grow it anywhere. You can make it anywhere in the world. Like South Africa, for instance, is like a really amazing place for gin because they just use all these local botanicals. And, so what was going from Tanqueray to this, like, what was the influence with this particular botanical makeup?
As far as the botanical makeup, that was when we say influences, it's when I met Matthew and the family, Perrin family, that to me was enough for me to make a really good gin, because the guys are just so nice. And coming from my background of this very, very large company, to then going to France, to get that atmosphere around about me, and everything. And of course, Matthew, he's mainly in the wine category. So I drank lots of wine with Matthew, and it's the best wine I've ever tasted in my life. And I'm not blowing smoke up Matthew's arse, trust me, I don't do that. It just so happens that when we met each other, we just clicked. So when I visit them in France, it's always nice to think, I'm going to this French chateau to meet people. That got me pulled in right at the very start. I don't need to travel 6,000 miles to get to where I want to make gin. I just need to jump on a short budget airline, an hour's travel, meet the guys, and it was just the best thing that ever. And all the influences just came when I met them, and it was in the countryside. It was always going to go good as far as I was concerned. So they showed me around, and it was enough for me. All of the fruits there, the oranges, the lemons, and well, that was one of the things. This is the only gin I've ever made that I've included lemon, because I told them I'm not going to use lemon. And they asked me if I would, and I said, of course I will, because by this time, they were such good friends. And that's the whole part of it for me. This was such an easy gin to make. Difficult in other aspects, trust me. Organic, that is a big, big no-no to 99% of gin producers when somebody says that. But these guys, they had everything sorted out for me before I even got there. So. And then they spent ages going through botanicals. I mean, a lot of time sending me samples.
Well, let's back up a little bit, because it sounds to me, and this is a part of the story that I didn't realize. Did you know you were getting called down there to make a gin? Is this what was the origin story for this? And Matthew, did you kind of spring this idea on Tom?
Yeah, I mean, it's a family idea. My family and myself, we are winemakers for fifth generation. I mean, we are very well known in the wine business, obviously, thanks to my father, grandfather, grandfather. It's really a true family story. And everything began in south of France, in a small village which named Châteauneuf-du-Pape.
Oh, yeah.
Where we own Chateau de Beaucastel for more than centuries ago now. And we have dedicated all our life to making and express our own terroir, to make a top wine there, from Beaucastel to Famille Perrin to La Vieille Ferme, and since more than 10 years to Miraval, where we have a partnership there. And we had the COVID times which arrived, and like you and me and Tom, we have plenty of time to think about what we can do after the lockdown. And we thought maybe it will be fun and nice to make a spirits which express the place where we are born. And we had no idea about which spirits we can do, obviously. And with my family and myself, when we are looking for something, most of the times everything began and start from the soil, from the terroir, from the vineyards. So we hire a botanist which came to the property, and he started to list all the botanicals that we had naturally next to our vineyards. And for people who know us in the wine business, they know that we are very well known for making organic wines since 1954. I guess my grandfather was the first guy to make organic wines at this time. He stopped all the pesticide, all the chemical product. And after that, he did the first test of biodynamic. Anyway, a long story short. And so this botanist came back with a full list about botanical, which start to inspire us with my brothers and cousins to make a spirit from these botanicals that we are to be inspired, let's say, from these botanicals that we are next to our vineyards. And quickly, we thought a gin can be the perfect spirit to reflect this beautiful part of the world that we call south of France, Provence, sometimes French Riviera, by being inspired by all these beautiful villages which are between sea and mountain and so on. And we knew that we were not in the spirits world, we are not a gin producer, we are winemakers. So we were looking for somebody who bring this dream, a quality product first, because as a family, when you have your name on the label, you have obsessed in the quality. And we had a common friends. I mean, we have a contact with new Tom, and it's how we began to be in contact and to express this idea to Tom. And it took time to meet each other, to know each other. But as Tom said, I mean, we click each other, and And we show, I guess, at the first beginning, the story express to say that we wanted to make a gin which express this beautiful part of the world. Because if you think about, I don't know, if you think about tequila, you were talking about tequila previously, you think straight away about Mexico. If you think about France, you will probably think about cognac in spirits world. If you think about south of France in the wine business, you will think about rosé from Provence. Right. But if you think about spirits which reflects the beautiful part of the world, which is Provence, you probably have no spirits which came first. And we really wanted to express this idea with Tom and making a gin which shows the diversity of French Riviera.
That's what I'm talking about. Like gin is such a cool spirit because you can really pull from the botanicals, the ingredients from your terroir, right? Like wherever you are in the world, you can really put a time and place. I think that's really a big part of it is like time and place, right? And like with like dining or drinking experiences, like I love the south of France. Like, and like also I want to back up a little bit here too. Châteauneuf-du-Pape, like that's the Pope's wine, right? Going back to like the 14th century, right? I was wondering, like, are you distilling the wine and using that as the base? Is this brandy based? Essentially, no. Okay, because that would have been like.
We don't distill with the wine. I did at the chateau, yes, obviously. But what's funny is that in the wine business, for centuries we are blending different variety of grapes. It's Grenache, Syrah, Cinsault. I mean, we even have 18 grape variety in Châteauneuf-du-Pape. And finally, the jobs of we do with the Gardener gin with Tom is we distill different botanicals. So we blend them together to make potentially the most balanced, fresh, elegant gin as possible, depending what we have in mind and what we have to express. So for me and my family, it's like if we have done, painting for all drinkers' life by making wines. And now with Tom, we are doing sculpture by blending not grape variety, but botanical together to make a spirit which reflects the place where we are born. And that was so nice to have Tom on board. It was a dream, and it's very humble. But for me, Tom is a gin legend. I mean, we couldn't expect it to have such a master distiller for this project. We will never go from wine business to spirits world with Tom.
Yeah, you got the maestro.
Yes, I mean, it's so nice, and to have it on board and to have his vision, 40 years of experiences, making spirits, and to have his vision about French Riviera, about south of France when he came over there, which was very fresh, very new, very for us where we are born. We miss sometimes some things that you didn't see, and that was very exciting for my family. To make that together with Tom.
So just make sure I'm following the story along here. So you bring Tom down. Tom, it sounds like you were absolutely smitten by the south of France and so the botanicals there. You two got into business together and started making this gin. Where's Brad Pitt come into this story?
Who?
Brad Pitt.
Oh, him.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah.
Yeah, with Brad, we are partners in Château de Miraval since more than 12 years in Provence, where we make these beautiful rosé wines, which has been part of a category of rosé to grow, including in US, when the rosé category was very small. And Brad, our partners in the wine business and now in the spirits, he really wanted to express his vision about the French Riviera. I mean, French Riviera, you may know, but it's a place where many artists came, from Picasso to Van Gogh to Rolling Stone to Christian Dior. They all came to the south of France because the colors, the lights are very special. I mean, I don't know if you have been in Saint-Tropez, Monaco, Nice. I mean, all this city, where it's very special because it's a place of creation. And our partner, was falling in love about this place. He had this opportunity to buy this beautiful property. And from this time, he probably is getting inspired about this diversity which is surrounding the property. And finally, the gardener is one of the expression of our partners of the French Riviera of south of France. And wanted, it's kind of aesthetic project. I mean, you have the bottle next to you. It's a quality first, no doubt. But it's also kind of aesthetic project which wanted to reflect the light and the color of the French Riviera. And for people who have been there, they know that the Mediterranean Sea, the color of the sea is changing depending the day of the time. And the color of the bottles, depending the light of the day, is also changing, And that's also the idea behind this aesthetic project to make a new classic with the Gardener gin.
So yeah, I'm being sort of, when I said who, it's just funny, but I was invited to Brad's house, chateau, and we had a really nice time there. And we all had a meal and we looked round about the property and all the botanicals and the area around about there, and it was very inspiring. So and as Matthew says, he's a very artistic guy. He's seen his art studios and he's now got this big music studio. And it was nice. It was nice being there. So that was a bit of an inspiration, just meeting up with the guys again on probably the hottest summer I've ever been in France. Goodness me, it was a ridiculous time in France, Matthew. I don't know if you remember, but I think the temperatures were hitting near the 40s, and it's a guy from Scotland going to France and putting up with the weather and all that brilliant wine. I don't know how I've managed. But
that's why you have kilts. Kilts they kind of air you out. They're Scottish air conditioning.
It's what I love is this project. It's three people. We call that a triptych. Of three people. We call that fire, land, and sky. Fire is obviously it's Tom. Our master distiller. I bring 40 years of experience to make the gins that we all dream of, land, it's my family, my cousins, my brothers, myself, taking care about all the botanicals, which are inspired by the place where we are born and live for fifth generation in organic farming. We bring all our vision about organic there. And Sky, it's not a celebrity because we don't like celebrity spirits. We are not a celebrity spirits, but it's an artist. It's William Bradley, who is joining this project to bring his vision about this beautiful part of the world, like all the other artists which have been there before him. So, to sum up, it's like three people who should never met in the normal life. French winemakers based in Châteauneuf-du-Pape, farmers before even being winemakers, a Scottish guy, Tom Nichol, master distiller, and an artist, William Bradley. And we believe that it's a shock of these three people, three artisans, three specialists, which probably bring something special in this project and in the Gardener gin at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
So talk to me a little bit about how the rollout has been going, because it is, the bottle is beautiful. Damon, you've been doing a good job modeling it over there, and the product on the inside is good. I would love to hear a little bit about, was there anything about marketing a gin that you didn't see coming, this being your sort of first foray into making this particular spirit? What about making and selling a gin surprised both of you? Tom, let's start with you. What was there anything as you were making this where you were like, whoa, I didn't see that coming?
No, it's for me, once I retired from Diageo, it was all about working for myself now. So, and I would only work with people that I really liked from there on. So The, the bit that surprised, I wouldn't say it's a surprise, but what I did want to do is I didn't want to make a gin like Tanqueray. Tanqueray is a wonderful gin, and Gordon's as well. I made a shitload, tons of that fucking stuff. Pardon me. But, I just...
It's okay. This is a swear-friendly podcast. You don't have to
apologize. I'm trying to be at my best. So it was... the bottle was a lovely surprise when they showed us the bottle, because they were a bit devious. They showed me three makeups, and they asked me to pick the bottle that I liked the most. And I thought, well, they probably already got the design they wanted to. And then I did pick that bottle. It was changed slightly from the drawing. But I just thought, well, if I can make a gin, if we can make a gin that befits that beautiful bottle, I don't think they can go wrong, really. They've got some. I mean, you'll get gins around the world where they are in really nice looking bottles, and let's face it, the bottle generally tends to sell the gin. If it's on a back bar, people will say, "Oh, I like the look of that." I mean, it could be absolute shit that's inside the bottle, but they like the look of the bottle. So really nice for us all to say, we've got this beautiful bottle, and it was up to them to say that it was a great gin inside it. I mean, I shouldn't really say that. You don't want to get up your arse and say, "Oh, well, I've made a great gin." You don't want to say that.
Tom, the thing is, like, I say this all the time, between food and drink. With food, your first sense that you use is olfactory, right? You walk into a restaurant or you're like in the home, you can smell the food that's cooking, before dinner. You use your sense of scent first, right? But with drinks, the first sense that you use is visual, right? So it makes sense that you want to pick out a great bottle and packaging, and also even furthermore, make sure that your cocktails look enticing, right? That's how we do it with drinks, So yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I know that's basically it. I did say to Matthew, I hope he doesn't mind me saying it, but when Brad was, I thought, well, do you really need me? Because if you've got Brad and you've got a bottle like that, you could put any shit in it you want, and it'll sell a bucket. So it'll sell a ton. But Matthew's, he's one of these guys that he's a professional that wants to sell things that are just perfect, that are just right. And so I thought, well, we'll get on great here, because as far as I'm concerned,
it's what I love in this project. It's very clear about who's doing what. We don't lie about who's, and it's very clear about what every artisan is doing in this job. And having again Tom there, I'm always surprising about the reaction of people. We say that's pretty smooth, balanced, fresh, and very citrus forwarded. Citrus tastes like bitter orange, sweet orange, lemon, and all the fresh citrus that we had, which is not so common for gin. I mean, most of the time it's very much juniper forwarded, which is probably there much more smoother than any other gin, very well balanced and lovely freshness. So, of course, it's mainly cocktails, but it's very, very surprising gin. Probably
it is very much so. I like to think of working in the spirits industry for as long as I have, and in wine and in cocktails mostly. It's one of those things where it's like, when you're trying to describe a wine or a spirit or a cocktail to your guests, your customers, it's one of those things that like even like doing tastings, like as a brand ambassador, it's like trying to ask people like what they're getting out of a spirit. You know, it's like pulling teeth, right? It's no one wants to say the wrong thing. And I'm like, okay, so don't tell me what flavors or aromas you're getting off of this. Tell me what it reminds you of, you know? And this really is like a walk in the south of France, you know? So like just tell me like a sensation, you know? And like I've even said that like the Martinez cocktail, if you're using a really good gin and really good vermouth, I always say it's like having sex on a pile of cash. You know, it's like, you know, just like tell me how you feel about it. And like this gin is definitely like it's taking me back there. But also like going back to like the packaging too, it reminds me of a lot of Provence rosés and even like Chateauneuf de Pop bottles. Like there's a little bit of a callback to the origin, like the place of origin, and like I say, like time and place, you know, and that's something that, you know, like anytime you travel around the world, it's like you take little bits of that with you, you know, mentally and emotionally, and that's, you know, I'll never have. Like that first experience that I had in Edinburgh, you know, like where I was having some scotch on the street illegally, probably, I don't know, looking up at the castle on the top of the hill, and, you know, but it's, you know, it's like one of those things. And so like, that's the thing I've really loved. I clearly loved about this gin, because I'm at the end of the bottle. It does take me back there, and it takes me back to Avignon, and like, you know, like even like when I was in not very close, but close-ish, like, you know, between Toulouse and Grenoble and Voiron, like on several different trips to like Spain and you know, like Chartreuse and whatnot. And, you know, it's like, it definitely, and like I said before, like, you know, there's like a thing where you go to like South Africa and have gin there, or you go to like Bangkok and have gin there, or you go to like even Texas and have a gin there, or whatever, you know. It's like there's a certain like profile that comes along with it. And like I said at the top of the show, I think that gin is so cool and unique, and it can be morphed in different ways on time and place. And, you know, really the through line is juniper. So like, is there a certain thing that you do is there a juniper that grows in the south of France that you're using, or are you grabbing that from somewhere else? And it's like,
well, it has been a question with Tom also. You know, when we start to do the blending, we have this botanical. We try to be inspired by the place which were surrounding us. You know, it's why we call that the gardener, because our garden is all next to our vineyard, and it really inspires us. And you have a trend where you have many botanicals, you know, 30, 40 botanicals in the new gin, because it's a way for them to be distinctive, probably, I don't know. And with Tom, I mean, quickly what we learn from his experience is simplicity is the most sophistication. And I will let Tom bring his vision about, you know, he didn't want to have many botanicals. We have 13 in total, but he has to be the right one. And what's fascinating me and us when he built the blend and the distillation is that he saw botanicals like a painter see colors. And that, I think, is a very interesting point that Tom has, which probably unique. No, Tom, it's colors for you, botanicals.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's when the guys were sending the samples, I've always got this idea that when I see something and I smell it, and it changes everything for me, because I'll probably have a set recipe that I look at, and I thought, okay, here's my recipe. And then every time I get a different botanical, I thought, well, I'll have to change that to suit this, because it's starting to get a bit dark here. And I know it sounds crazy, but my mind thinks in colour, where I think this is a nice, bright, fresh gin. So we want to keep it nice and light and fresh. And as you were saying about drinking this gin straight, that's the whole thing. Actually, I like it straight. I like to drink it straight because it gives you the whole sort of feel for it. But I know that it sounds crazy talking about I see things in colour when I look at botanicals, but I do. And it's like
to me.
If you're a top class chef, you'll take a pinch of salt, and that's exactly what they do. They take a pinch of salt, but they'll also know that pinch of salt is exactly right. It's not a pinch too big. They know exactly what they're putting in, and that's how I see things. That if I need to put this in, then I need to change that, and I can balance it up, and it all sits there in the middle in just a nice bright colour. And hopefully anybody that drinks the gin will think, it tastes nice and bright. But it's strange for me to say this without somebody coming and trying to lock me up and say, he's talking nonsense. I don't think I'm talking nonsense. It's just the way I work.
Tom, there's a guy that I used to play music with back in the day. I'm from Oklahoma, and in Oklahoma City, there was a guy. He played piano and organ, and he was a guy who basically turned me on to gin. And he would drink gin straight. He was an incredible pianist and an organist, and he had like really long red hair, and he always wore it in like Willie Nelson braids and a big beard and everything. And he would always just drink gin on the rocks. And I was like, one day I asked him, I was like, so why gin? And he's like, it's made from flowers, man. And I was like, what? And he's like, basically. And I was like, all right, dude. Nah. And he was like, yeah, if you didn't catch that by now, he was much of a hippie. But I was like, all right. And like up until that point, I had always had like a gin and tonic or a gin martini. And then I tasted gin neat. I had never really, I'm going back. I was like 21. And so I wasn't drinking a lot of spirits straight, unless it was like an Amaro or, something like that. But I was like, and then that's what clicked with me. It was a botanical spirit. And then I was like, oh, this hippie likes botanical spirits. Oh, it makes sense. And I was like, but like, it's kind of the cool thing about it is that, it really is a thing that, when you, I love your analogy of like, like thinking about it in colors, because my background is in graphic design. So I think about everything as design, like from the packaging to what the juice in the bottle is, to even the way that we look at the marketing side and the sales of the spirit, as it is in designing my bars and restaurants. And like, I just think I look at everything in colors, and that's just how it was kind of taught, and at one point I wanted to have like my entire back bar just be bottles that were green glass, so I think about it in ways like that. So I really appreciate you saying that. And, this one to me, if I could call out a color for this gin, I would say it would be like between yellow and orange. Somewhere in there.
It's yellow.
Yeah.
Trust me. That's the way I see it. It's yellow. It's strange, but I'm glad you said that, because to me it's yellow.
Yeah.
What about you, Matthieu? What color is this gin to you?
Well, for me, it's orange.
Perfect.
I nailed it. Yellow and orange.
But for me, it's orange. But it's well, we use also a lot of orange, not only because it's the color. We use a lot of fresh orange, like bitter orange, sweet orange, which are very specific from a local producer, which is named Bigarade, is a variety that we use. We are growing mostly in the south of France. And we love so much. I mean, the fresh citrus. I think at the first beginning we did few tastes, few blend where we didn't have any fresh citrus. We had just dry botanicals, and I think it's when we put fresh citrus, it really brings it another level of the taste profile of the Gardener gin. And for me, it was making sense. As a wine producer, we use fresh fruit for making wines. And having fresh citrus, which is very not easy in the spirits world, what I've learned, because obviously you have one harvest a year and you have some different batch, and so to have always the same quality makes your job much more difficult, especially when these fresh citrus are organic. So it's even another level of difficulties probably in the sourcing. Anyway, and we bring from a good gin, for me, unique gin and potentially iconic gin with a very smoother character that we were talking about. It's smooth but not sweet, and we love the bitterness. Probably for a long time in the cocktail scene, I don't know, better than me, but it was about sweetness, and, all this mojito and things like that. And we are changing in a world where bitterness it's important because it's really balanced your aperitif or your cocktail at the end of the day, of the dinner. And this bitterness, which is very typical from this Bigarade orange, make it me think that orange is but maybe it's between yellow and orange, to be fair.
we can compromise somewhere in the color wheel there, as long as we're all in the same relative neighborhood there. So guys, if our listeners wanted to follow up and follow along with what you're doing and perhaps score a bottle of their very own, the gin itself is clear, by the way. I don't want to get any angry letters here at Speakeasy HQ of just like, where's my yellow gin? I'm like, no, those are the notes, the flavors, the nice treble notes of the gin. But if our listeners wanted to not take my word for it and try it themselves, where can they follow along and learn more about the Gardener?
Where do you mean? Which place in the US? Or,
sure, yeah. Just where is there a social media handle that people can follow along with you?
Every good cocktail bars you should have. I mean, we are. First, if you travel to France, you have to go to Carlton in Cannes, which is the middle of the French Riviera. In Carlton in Cannes, they have an amazing bartender there. And they make a special experience around the Gardener gin, and they create their own cocktail. And of course, we are very well present in France because it's where we are born and raised with the Gardener gin, and it's what we want to reflect. But also, with this triptych of friendship, we have a strong ambition, like we have in the wine world also. We say sometimes, it's making a gin is like with our partners, we say it's like making a movie. It's something that you are proud to show and that everybody can enjoy. I guess the price on the shelf on the Gardener gin in US, it should be $39.99, which is affordable luxury. And I like this parallel with making a movie because, making super high-end gin, very expensive, makes no sense for us. It has to be affordable luxury. And it has to reflect the art de vivre, what we call a way of life. Italian calls that dolce vita. We call that art de vivre of the south of France. And so for that, we are in 40 countries now and in 11 states in US. with a big focus in New York and California.
Well, it's also like making a movie, because if you do it with Brad Pitt, it's hard to go wrong. So,
well, that's, that was the other thing I was going to say. Like, if you want to hire me on as your brand ambassador, I mean, I clearly look like Brad Pitt, so no one would even know, the difference. Yeah,
I take notes for that. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, Matthieu, Tom, thank you so much for. Oh, go ahead, Damon. What you got? Sorry, what you got for us at the end here?
These, just for our listeners, if we haven't cleared this up enough for all of you who are hearing this episode, these are two legends in the spirits and wine world. Tom Nichol, just a powerhouse. Master distiller of spirits, for gin, of course, but beyond that too. But then Matthieu Perrin, I have to say that there's a place out here in where I live in Marin County, California nowadays, place called Amelie that some friends of mine own, and I have crushed so many bottles of your rosé, the Minerval. It's just I could be a brand ambassador for you too. But your family's wine is incredible, and this is really, to me, it's a really cool combination of two just masters of craft. It makes sense to me. And like I said, I've really enjoyed the gin, which we've been talking about today, but maybe we have you back sometime to talk about the wine as well.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, the gin, is at the end of the day, is a friendship with between three different people who want to share. We have the same vision about expressing in a spirit this part of the world, the south of France, and the wine is a family.
Yeah.
It's we are working a family. We are 7 working together. And we want to defend the same value in the wine business, like we wanted to do in the spirits as well, because it's all about long term. It's all about next generation quality and make no compromise. But anytime you want, let me know.
Absolutely, and we'll come out and do an episode from Avignon.
If we have to, then we have to.
Yeah.
Oh, we go to Edinburgh having some beers with Tom.
Cool, yeah. And Tom, thank you so much. It's been so awesome having you both on the show today. And it's great to catch up with you, Tom. It's been, I don't know, it's been since before COVID. So it's been a while. So.
There's probably tales in the cocktail, I take it, the last time we met.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And you were wearing a tuxedo in 140-degree weather.
Oh God, you brave man!
Yeah.
He always comes correct. So hey, Greg, take us out.
Yeah, sure. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us this week on the Speakeasy. Thank you to you, the listener, as always, for tuning in and let us provide, I think, a little bit of a welcome distraction this week. If you want more of that, and I know you do, you can sign up and become a regular on our Patreon page. Our regulars get access to all kinds of really, really good stuff on there, like sponsor-free listening, video podcasts, cocktail recipes from all of our guests, 2 actually this week from the Gardner Gin, bonus episodes, and a free cocktail kit each month from our friends at Shaker and Spoon, who, by the way, deserve congratulations today because they just hit a stretch goal on their Kickstarter. And as a result of that, they are now offering a Better Cooking with Bitters add-on to the program they're already developing with our very own Sother Teague. So go ahead and check that out. We are going to put a link to that in the show notes. Also of note, HRN is still running its first ever listener survey. That link is in the show notes too. And as soon as you complete the survey, you are going to be entered to win a $250 gift card to Goldbelly. And as soon as you complete the survey, you will automatically win our esteem and respect, because these things really do help us improve the show and learn what you want out of us and the rest of us here at HRN. And genuinely, we really do appreciate you taking the time and the effort. Of course, be sure to tune in next week when our guest is going to be Shah Gopinath from Max Royal Badram, which is cool. That is a luxury hotel brand. So unfortunately, couldn't do an on-site recording there, but he's going to be talking about what it's like to run a cocktail program for a high-end luxury resort. Until then, everybody out there, take care of yourselves. And guys, as always, it's a pleasure. Cheers, y'all.
Cheers.
Thank you.
So you don't shun the devil with your rock.
The Speakeasy is powered by Simplecast. Thanks for listening to Heritage Radio Network, food and drink radio supported by you. Keep in touch at heritageradionetwork.org/subscribe.
Hey listeners, thank you so much for listening to HRN. We want to make your experience as a listener even better, and to help us do that, we'd love your input on our audience survey. It'll only take a few minutes, and by completing it, you can enter to win a $250 gift card from Goldbelly. Visit heritageradionetwork.org/survey to take the survey and to help us keep growing and improving. That's heritageradionetwork.org/survey. Thanks for your support.